Bob McElligott covers the Blue Jackets and joins us now. Bob, thanks so much for taking the time on this summer afternoon. You heard the captain's comments right there. What was your reaction? Because it seems like there's not much else the captain can say, right? You just got to move forward.
Well, he's absolutely right, and I wouldn't expect Nick Foligno to say anything other than what he just said, but I really think that he's right. You look at that list that you had up there just a few moments ago, that is a long list of guys that have departed. But as Nick said, it's about the guys that are still here. Yes, they lose a lot of talent with the likes of Artemi Panarin and Sergei Bobrovsky, Matt Duchene, all walking out the door this summer. But you know what? This is a team that when it started their playoff run 3 years ago, they were underdogs. They were ones that were counted out by everybody, and they fed off of that. I think in the last couple of years, as they got more talented offensively, two things. Number one, they weren't underdogs anymore. Number two, I think they gradually got away from that hard style, heavy game that they play, and that's what made them successful. So now, as I look at this roster, they have no choice but to go back to what they were a couple of years ago. They've got to be hard to play against again, and I think that they will be. I think they really – this team thrives on underdog status. They always have with this core group, and that's what I think that they're going to do from day one this year.
That may be the case, Bob, but personally, I'd rather be the favorite. I'd rather just be the best team and be the favorite. But you take what you can get, and it seems like they have the right coach to rally around that attitude as well in John Tortorella. But you can talk about replacing the guys and being harder to play against, but what about in net? Sergei Bobrovsky, one of the best goalies in the last several years. They're coming in with Korpisalo. They got McElligott. Who is going to stop the puck, and how well are they going to be able to do it?
Well, Mike, that is the question, right? I mean, you've had a guy that you've built your team around for 7 years, and now that guy's gone. So who's it going to be? And right now they're saying they're going to go with these two young guys. They're not looking to bring in any free agents. So here they are, and they're going to have the opportunity. Korpisalo, of course, should have the edge. He's been that backup to Sergei Bobrovsky the last 4 years. He's played NHL games. There have been times that he's had to play longer stretches of games because of Bobrovsky injuries. So that gives him an advantage. But all we've heard about McElligott is how good he is. That, this management will say he's the best goaltender not in the National Hockey League. Look, I'll be honest with you. I haven't seen this guy play once. He hasn't played in North America. He hasn't played in the American Hockey League. He has to step right in and play in the NHL. What's he going to be? I don't know. But, before Sergei Bobrovsky, there was Steve Mason who was struggling and a young Bobrovsky that came in, and they went head-to-head, and that worked out well. The Blue Jackets need this situation to work out the same way.
They also want the situation with Zach Werenski to work out really well and probably pretty soon. Now, we were just talking earlier in the show about the whole RFA mess right now and how we're all waiting for one big domino to fall. How close do you think the domino that is Zach Werenski is to falling?
Well, look, I don't know anything more than what I read or what I hear and what you guys talk about, but I'll tell you this. Zach Werenski loves Columbus. I know he wants to be here. He wants to be a big part of this. I know Jarmo Kekalainen has been quoted as saying they've talked about a 3-year, they've talked about a 5-year. I think they'll get it done. I just think that, if he was the only guy out there in this situation, it would be pretty worrisome, I think. But since he's on a long list of RFAs and all of this is going on, and it's almost like a game of chicken, somebody's waiting for somebody else to blink so they can set the market and get going with this whole thing. I think once that does happen, I don't know if Zach's going to be the first guy, probably not going to be the first guy, but I think that he will pretty quickly be right back in line with the Blue Jackets once the dominoes do start to fall in this.
All right, Bob, we're going to end on a positive note. We're not going to talk about who left. We're going to talk about who arrived. Gus Nyquist is in town.
I know it's only one guy.
Well, listen, then we'll talk about him. What are we expecting out of Gustav Nyquist, who had a good offensive year last year, next year with Columbus?
Well, I think there are a couple of things about Gus Nyquist that they like. Number one, he's a guy that's played a lot of games. He knock on wood, he stays healthy, and he is productive. I know he's a guy that they were looking at heavily at the trade deadline last year before he went to San Jose, and he joined the Sharks, so they've liked him for a long time. I think there's a good chance that Gus winds up on that top line with Cam Atkinson and Pierre-Luc Dubois. I think it's very possible. I think another good possibility is that he plays alongside of Alexander Wenberg, because this is the thing that we've talked about for the last couple of years. Alexander Wenberg, who a few years ago had 60 points, has fallen off the table. He's not been there. He was healthy scratched in the playoffs. Every year they're looking for somebody to get Alexander Wenberg going. He and Gus Nyquist have played together at the Worlds. Maybe Nyquist can be that guy, but I really think that at the beginning he probably gets a chance to skate with Panarin and Dubois and see what he can do on that line where Panarin used to be.
Well, Bob, it should be a really interesting start of the season, to say the very least. We are all waiting to see what kind of team the Blue Jackets are when they take the ice in just a couple of months. Thanks so much for the time.
Thank you, guys.